It's your destiny to greatness with Dr. C and Brothers Keeper. Today, where we've been, where we're going, and Friday trivia. And now, here are Dr. C and Brothers Keeper.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine and I'm very excited.
Yes, good. I can tell, and that is really helping me to get even more excited because, look, I am tired, but I've been waiting to get to this point so that I could just fellowship with you and share a little bit of time with you. How are you today? Good? That's good. So, Brothers Keeper.
Yes.
How about the shows from this week? Oh my goodness, if we could just reflect on Monday. What's holding you back?
Is it our fear?
Yeah,
Is it self?
fear or self. Look, let me tell you, there has been some time when I've been a little bit afraid, but one thing that I have done, or what I've told myself, is to not let anybody know. And I keep that to myself because I'm saying if no one else knows, then I can just continue to go on and do my best.
As my mother always told me, never let them see you sweat.
All right.
So no matter what's going on the inside, we always have to let them know on the outside that we're trusting and believing that God has got everything under control.
It helps me to be able to help and encourage others to go a little bit further.
Yes, and it's a valid point. Sometimes we always have to stay grounded by reflecting back on where we came from. Because a lot of us have come from humble means.
Yeah.
And it's those who often forget where they came from. When we forget, it's kind of hard for us to look back, and it's even more difficult for us to reach back
Right.
and try to pull somebody else up to another level. And that's what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
You know, we're people think that we're living for ourselves, but we're living for others.
Yes.
We're here to help others. And that is why I got so in tune with my new name, Brothers Keeper. And I tell people all the time, it's not just me attaching that to myself. I try to live it. And it's a little harder to live, as I said before, because we're human.
Right.
Sometimes things will come, and it will come from our past to catch up with us sometimes too. But we have to stay focused and understand that we are here to help others.
That's something that you said coming from your past. I remember when I first accepted Christ as my personal Savior, and I was 19. Well, I probably only look like 20 right now, right? But that's okay. But when I was 19 and when I went back to college that next year, and the people that I knew, they remembered the Carla that year before, and I was changed. And I was continuing to change, and they were saying, well, you used to say certain things, what you're not saying it now. And they really treated me differently, so much so I had to move from my apartment to a whole totally different apartment because of the new lifestyle that I had. Not because I was thinking I was better, but because of the difference.
Some things you just had to, as a man preached about, you had to cut it off.
Right, and they were not ready to
accept who you are now.
Yes.
They were still holding on to who you were. I kind of go through the same thing because in my transition, I mean, he's not done with me yet, and I'm not perfect. But there are some who see the new me,
right,
and there are some who are blinded. And they don't want to see the new me. They may see it, they don't even want to see it. Because it's easier for them to deal with me the way I was.
Yes.
Instead of the way I am. So they will always reflect on what I used to do or what I used to say or how I used to act.
Right.
And I may not have been that way for years. But they don't see it. And if they do see it, you'd be surprised. There's some that are right among us. They don't want to see it. No. They don't want to see a change because they want to keep everything in what they call normal. Because once you change something in the dynamics, that means either they got to change or they're going to get left behind.
Right.
So the easiest thing for them to do is grab hold, keep you there so they don't have to make a change. As we said before, because fear stops them and their self stops them.
And we could have, or we can still now allow that to hold us back. Because those things, I mean, it's very uncomfortable. It's very, yes.
Change is very uncomfortable.
It's not easy, but it's not meant to be. But the thing about it, anything worth having, it's worth working hard for.
That's right. And you know, people don't understand, like today, for instance, they see us. They don't know how difficult our schedule may be, but
Yes.
if we feel that this is worth it,
Yeah.
when you look back on it tomorrow, it was just a moment of wondering why, but then you understand the great thing that we're doing in the big picture, and you move forward.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Now that's true.
Yeah, you just
That
keep
is
moving
true.
forward.
And another thing from this week that we were reminded of things that hold us back is ourselves.
Yeah.
Ourselves, because we could get stuck in our minds that, you know, we can't do or we shouldn't do. We're not worthy to do these things. And that's terrible. That is a terrible stumbling block. And we need to, you know, not we should, but we need to move past those things, because if people look at us and say, well, you know, if they're doing it, and it doesn't necessarily have to be things to make us millionaires
No.
or where the whole world
No.
can see us, but I realize today that there are people that are looking at us so that they can succeed. I had she's a 9th grader, and she was in a class, one of my worst classes last year, but she came back just for a hug and just to say, I'm here and I'm doing well. And I said, keep on doing well. And I said, well, Lord, is that the reason why you have not released me from thy position? I said, well, okay, I accept it.
Yeah, a lot of times people don't understand when they say to let your light shine. I'm thinking they believe that you go out and hold a light up. It's not that.
No.
It's the character inside of you, that proven character. And I said before, it's the little things. It's the little things that reap the greatest rewards.
Yes.
As they say, the faith of a mustard seed, a little
Yes.
seed. You know, if you put that seed in the ground, have you ever seen how big the tree gets?
Big, and people don't realize that.
Yeah.
They use and they say that, you know, oh, I just need, you know, the faith of a mustard seed, but it grows.
Yeah, they're not looking at past the seed.
Right.
They got the faith of the mustard seed, but they're not realizing the birth of that faith. And I always say faith is an action, and that faith got to grow bigger than they could ever imagine. But like you say, and it's a process.
Yeah.
We'll get there. They'll get there.
Yes.
We all will get there.
Yes. Yes. Teamwork.
Yeah.
Teamwork.
And we all need to know our part in the process. Because as they say, we're all one. And there are different pieces that, a role that you play, a piece in the role that I play.
Right.
And we're making this great big movie.
Yes.
And then there are always places that, and a lot of times, we may not be the headline.
Thank you.
We're the opening act for something.
Right.
So if that's what I am right now, hey, I'll take it in stride. And I'll be the best opening act I can be.
Right. Well, ultimately, everything that we do should be to give God the glory.
Yes.
Because anything that I can do is only because of God. It's not because of me.
No.
So I take no credit.
Exactly. You know, I ask the Lord all the time to keep me humble. And it may not see it right now, but we'll reap our harvest. As long as we're looking and doing things for the right reason.
For the right reason.
Yeah. Some people think, you know, it's for a monetary reason or whatever. I tell them all the time, my investment are in people. And there's so many people out here, you mean tell me I can't succeed with all these people? You know what I mean? I may not be able to get $1 million, but all these people out here.
Yes.
I believe I can be real successful if I implement all that I know into at least one person every day.
Right. Well, the harvest is,
Yeah.
it's right.
Yeah.
But the laborers are few. So
Yeah.
there's plenty of work for us to do.
Mm-hmm.
So if we just do it and do what God would have us to do. We don't have to, well, I wonder what I should do. With all the people who are hurting and just wanting somebody, anybody who has a heart just to love them and care for them and to smile instead of frown. We can do that. That doesn't cost us very much.
And I noticed that some of them days I was reading about impulses, and sometimes we'll have an impulse to do things, and it's good things. I mean, prudent things. You'd be surprised because of fear. He might drop something in that spirit to say something to a person,
Right.
a stranger maybe, and it's hard to walk up to a stranger and say something that was put in your spirit to tell them. But I noticed if you go do it, because the devil ain't gonna tell you to say nothing nice to him.
No.
The enemy ain't trying to get you to do nothing nice to promote Christianity.
Right.
And loving someone and showing them that agape love. They ain't doing that. So if you understand that there's something that's prudent, do it.
Right.
Because I told a lady something one day, and I just thought I was telling her in passing. I saw her maybe 2 weeks later, and the lady was determined to show me, as you say, what the harvest was
Right.
from that seed I planted that day. I was speechless. When she showed me what she had to show me, I'm looking like, "Do you remember that day you told me that?" I said, "Yeah, I really needed it that day. I was really going through." I couldn't tell because she didn't show me. For some reason, I told her. Well, I knew the reason why. I told her.
Right.
But I did what I was supposed to do.
Yes.
And I felt better for it and never had an idea the impact it had on that lady's life.
And she didn't forget.
No.
And God doesn't forget us.
No.
That brings us to our reflection on Wednesday's show. God has not forgot you. And he hasn't. No matter what the situation looks like. Sometimes the situation looks drear, it looks bleak and dim, like nobody's around. But God, he's always around. And we had Deacon Aaron Lewis and Pastor Rosie Edwards. And it seemed like both of them were on the right or on the same wavelength. And they were talking about the Word.
The Word.
The Word of God.
To keep you rooted.
Wow.
It's like that tree beside the water.
Yes.
Wind
Yes.
blowing, water's blowing. But you're rooted. You
Yes.
stay there.
Stay right there.
Pass the storm.
Yes.
Knowing that another storm's probably going to come.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll still stand on his word and understand
And I know
that in
that's
the
right.
end he will be there. He hasn't forgotten us.
And it's so important to get to know Jesus, and you get to know him through the Word. And he'll speak to you, he'll talk to you and just comfort you like nobody else can. You know the song, Can't Nobody Do You Like Jesus.
Exactly.
You can have the best family, the best mother, and people can say all the nice things to you when you're hurting. But that hurt is on the inside. And it gets so deep, and can't nobody penetrate on the inside like Jesus can. Have you ever felt some hurt like that before?
Oh, yes.
Oh my God.
And you know what? A pastor preached a sermon. And he said, feel what you feel. And a lot of people not understanding when you're hurting, you can't put this facade on that everything's okay. You got to hurt. You got to go through the process.
Yes.
Because if not, it'll linger and linger and linger. And years from now, you'll get telling somebody about it, and they're like, but that was because they never went through the process.
But that's right. Many people, they don't.
They won't
don't
feel
go
what they
through.
feel. Then after they go through the process, then they still have to remember what they know. God has not forgotten us.
Exactly.
Once,
And it's
while they're going
only-
through the process, he's right there.
Yes, it's only God. I've talked to people who are somewhere in between our ages, older than us, and it's so sad that they have not met Jesus. And it's not that they do not go to church, because it's the difference in going to church all your life and having Jesus
Relationship.
and having that relationship with Jesus, and they've pushed it away, the hurt away and the pain, but then that hurt and that anger has built up so long, And now they really don't know what to do other than it's near almost hate. If it isn't
So
hate,
festered.
it has. And it's so sad. And then when you speaking and when you're ministering and they don't want to let that go. And it's almost self-destructing. But you don't have to self-destruct because Jesus, he's just waiting. Doesn't matter where you are on this journey. He hasn't forgotten. He's just reaching out and he's calling. He says, come on, just come to me. I will give you rest. And it's no better feeling, no better freedom than to be able to lay down whatever time of day or night and to be able to call on him. Doesn't mean that you're not going to have some warm tears running down your face. Doesn't mean that hurt, and sometimes that hurt is so bad. I've experienced 1 or 2 times hurt that was so bad that I didn't even know that I was going to experience hurt that bad. But I have experienced the love of Jesus to work from that inside out. And he is a healer. I'm not just talking about physical. I've experienced the physical healing, but I'm talking about that spiritual healing. Because we can get healed from this body, but it's miserable if that heart
That's
is
what I'm
not
saying.
healed.
A lot of times people pray for their healing.
Yes.
But we're mind, body, and soul.
Yes.
And a lot of times they forget about the other 2 parts. Now, as you said, you could be walking around physically fit
Yes.
and broken on the inside. And you'd be surprised how many people, from being broken on the inside, will manifest itself onto the outside.
Yes.
I had a friend of mine who passed away, and the doctor said there wasn't anything physically wrong with him in the beginning. And everything that they found, it was psychosomatic. And it just worked from the inside out.
Yes.
And he worried, and he worried. And once he got sick, which caused him to worry more.
Right.
And he worried, and he worried, and he worried so much that in the end, he extinguished himself.
Yeah. So
It's
important.
sad, yeah.
It is. It is.
You got to deal with mind, body, and soul.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely, because this is a powerful thing.
Yeah.
Because when this mind is off kilter, and the enemy, Satan, he comes and he attacks this mind. Not just anybody. It doesn't matter how long you've been on this Christian journey. He does. And you have to realize that. And that just causes you to get in that word even more and pray even more.
Many times,
Whew.
the one who's been on the journey for a while, that's the one they'll go attack.
Yes.
Because they've been on it, and it's been everything
Yes.
that even killed so long that when they come along and hit them, it tip them right over because they been so used to being on an even kill that one little tap would knock their equilibrium off, and now they're down in the dirt.
Have to stay.
And once they
Bring
get in
up.
the dirt, believe it or not, they'll have more of a time trying to get back up than a person who's up and down, up and down.
Sure, because sometimes people who have been on the journey, sometimes people get a little misconstrued and think that things are not supposed to happen to them.
After they get to a certain distance.
Yeah, but Christ, he didn't say
No.
that. Because if we look at Jesus as our example, I mean, he had certain things to happen. The ultimate will never go through as much as he went through.
Yeah, because they said at every level, there's another devil. and the enemy, they got their tricks with them.
Yes.
They know who
And
when.
He's doing his job. And that's why we have to do our job. And it's important for us to stay together and band together. You know, the division, that's not necessary. If we see one another that maybe in a fault or struggling, we don't need to talk about or snicker. Let's bind each other together. Let's pray for one another. Especially in a time such as this.
Yes.
No, don't talk about me. Pray for me. Help me. That's important.
That's real important. And, being you said that, it's a great point. Because years ago, as you say, we human, and many of us would more likely see somebody doing something that your first response would be cardinal. It wouldn't be spiritual. You what?
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
Instead of going, oh man, let me see what I can do to help them. Yeah. That's what I try to do now, but I'm not gonna say I was always like that.
But that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're growing and we're learning and we're seeing because now we know that time is not as long as it has been.
Oh no.
And if we're continue to have that mindset, then we're not where we need to be.
Yes.
And if God hadn't forgot us, then He hasn't forgotten that person either.
Yeah, I was having a conversation the other day, and when we meet these people who are having these problems, if we can understand that they're doing the best they can, and if we, what you said, those that are spiritual, restore such a one, if we know that that's their problem, and we're not acting accordingly, they ain't the one got the problem.
Right.
It's us. Because we should know better.
Yes.
They're doing the best they can. We supposed to know better, and we supposed to help them get restored.
Yes.
Now, if we're not helping them, but we're not doing the best we can, but they are.
Yes.
Because they don't know any better.
This definitely has been a wonderful week, and we are looking forward to many more beautiful weeks. So we've just come to an end, or a pause, but an end to season 1.
Yes.
How about that?
Yes.
Thank you. High five to all of you who have been with us for season 1 of Your Destiny to Greatness.
Thank you.
Yes. So what we're going to do is continue with Friday Trivia while we are preparing for a great season 2. So continue to come back on Fridays for your trivia. Right?
Right.
Yes. And we'll keep you updated with who's going to be on season 2 and the topics. Sounds good to me.
Since we're talking about Friday's trivia, and as I told you before, I got a great group of friends who are over at Expressive Threads, and you can find them in the Twilly Center over on Civic Avenue. And this is my friend. He has this nice shirt. His is ink related. This is going to be what we're giving away this week for Friday Trivia.
Wow.
And it's a very easy one this week. All you need to know is who fell asleep when they were getting their hair cut.
Okay. All right. So they need to know, what's the question again?
Who fell asleep while they were getting their hair cut?
Okay. All right.
And you can win this ink-related shirt.
So get your questions in by tonight, 11:59 p.m. Okay. Email them. Email your answers, please, to your.destinytogreatness@gmail.com. Give us your name and state so that we will be able to announce who you are on our Twitter page. Have wealth and beauty. Have wealth and beauty.
Do you hear me? My heart's crying out to thee. You know, there are times in your life when, because of the things you've been through, or because of the things you've done, you may not think that our Father, which art in heaven, hears your call. But I want you to know that God does hear the sinner's prayer. He's waiting just for you to surrender your life to Him. Romans 10:9 says that if you will confess with your mouth the Lord Jesus and believe with your heart that God raised him from the dead, you shall be saved. It doesn't matter where you are in life today or where you are right now. You can be free. Why don't you call out to him? Try him today. You can start with these simple words. Father.
It's just me thinking again. Hello, this is Brothers Keeper, and I'm just thinking again. Speaking of thinking, how often do we realize how much impact our thinking has on our lives? You know, I've heard them say that when we discuss ideas, that's indicative of a person who has a great mind. When we discuss events, that's indicative of a person who has an average mind. And if we are talking about people, that's a person indicative of a small mind. But we can always think on the subjects that we're talking about, and no one has to tell us where our thinking is. Because where our thinking is, most of the time, that's where we'll end up in the end. Because they say our thinking leads to our destiny. So we can control what we're thinking. We might be able to control where we're destined to be. It's just me thinking again.
We are destined for greatness.
Enjoy the journey. You may not be exactly where you want to be right now, but where you are, it's important. It's important to learn for you. It's important to someone to learn from you. Just take your time. Don't get mad. Don't rush. Don't be discouraged. God has not forgot you, and he will take you where you need to be. So, while you're going on your way, just take a breath and be blessed as you walk to your destiny.